What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another banger of a video here at Elite Fantasy Hoops, where today we're going to be diving into the Sorare streets. But before we do that, if it's your first time here, welcome. Make sure you take a second to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the little notification bell so that you know when that sweet content's going to drop. And also, we got some fun news. Starting Monday, September 23rd, the NBA Bit returns to our main channel, which means every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern, we're going to be live breaking down everything that's going on in the basketball world. So if you haven't checked out the NBA Bit channel, find the link in the show notes, go subscribe to it so my self-esteem goes up. Now, we're just 5 weeks away from the NBA season getting underway, so it's time to start dabbling around in the Sorare marketplace so that we are ready for game week 1. We're probably just a week or two away from some Sorare announcements about year 3, so remember that in the back of your mind as we're talking our way through the marketplace, because I'm sure we're going to get some news from Sorare NBA that might inform us how we want to attack the marketplace in each game week heading into year 3. But hopefully this video can serve as a guide as you start thinking about what lineup construction looks like if you want to attack limited, rare, contender, champion, whatever you want to do. But enough of that. Today we are building two different lineups. We are going to build a rare contender lineup, which means we only have 120 total cap to build a lineup, and I have set a budget of no more than $250. But we're actually going to start with the champion lineup. Now, the champion lineup, we still have a 120 cap. However, we get that free MVP spot that doesn't count towards the cap, and because of that, we're going to up our own budget and get $350 to build a chef's kiss version of a rare champion lineup. And if you're new to Sorare NBA, check out the link in the show notes to get yourself started. We also did a great explainer video that is pinned to this very channel, so you can go get a quick descriptor of how to attack Sorare NBA. It's time to head to the marketplace. We're going to do our best to find a somewhat affordable MVP to get our rare champion lineup started. Now, of course, I would like to click Victor Wembanyama or Nikola Jokic, but that would completely obliterate your budget. And obviously, if you do have a bigger budget than what I'm working with right now, yes, you want to be looking at Victor Wembanyama, Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Luka Doncic. Those are the big spenders, but are also the ones that are going to produce week in and week out. But because I am just a poor man, we are going to be diving a little bit deeper into the marketplace. And as you can see, it starts to get a little spicier here around Joel Embiid, who's got a cap of 56. But again, the cap doesn't matter so much because he is our MVP play. But that price tag of $240 feels a little bit steeper considering we set our budget. I don't want to completely wipe us out right now, but I am going to start with the brittle-boned man himself, fresh off winning a gold medal, and that is the big man from Los Angeles, Anthony Davis. AD's got a cap of 52 and a price point of $151. So yes, that is starting a little heavy, but it gives us just under $200 the rest of the way to build out what I think is a fairly competitive lineup. Now, obviously, there is some risk to Anthony Davis. He's been known to get hurt, but he is coming off a season where he played over 70 games. He was pretty consistent. And when you look at the price tag of $151, that injury risk is baked into it. So he might not have the consistency of 70-point games like someone like Luka or Jokic, but Anthony Davis does have the ability to fill up the stat sheet. And we saw that early and often last season for the Lakers as he was putting up these high 20-point games, these high 12 to 14 rebound games. And then Anthony Davis might not be Victor Wembanyama when it comes to shot blocking, but we have seen him surpass 3 or 4 blocks in a game. And what's nice about Sorare NBA is that if he has multiple games in a game week and you're concerned that they're going to rest AD, it really only does take one performance from him to give you that ceiling score that you're looking for. So again, it doesn't feel great to click Anthony Davis's name, but that's where I'm going to start for $151. For our second position, we're actually going to head north of the border to Emmanuel Quickley. Now, IQ's cap is a little bit high at 40, but I actually think that's going to keep a lot of people from playing him, especially in contender lineups early on in the season because of how high it is. But I do think IQ is going to consistently outscore that cap if it stays in that 40 range. As we saw from IQ down the stretch, he put up a 62 against the Bucks at the end of the season, a 57 against the Wizards, and a 55 against the Brooklyn Nets before flaming out against the Miami Heat with a 24. And I mentioned this in previous videos, I don't think the Toronto Raptors are going to be very good at basketball, but I do think they're going to be a fun fantasy basketball team because I think almost all of the offense is going to come from those three guys in IQ, RJ Barrett, and Scotty Barnes. And to see that price point of only $30 right now, knowing that we can get some sort of ceiling out of IQ for $30, that now puts our budget up to $181. It gives us a little bit more wiggle room. If you watched Live Before Lock, you remember the giveaways, right? Hashtag hard on. That's right. Our third player in our rare champion lineup is going to be the Los Angeles Clippers, James Harden. And speaking of Live Before Lock, that is coming back this season, starting with the first game week. So every Monday and Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern, we are going to be going live with all of the injury news, all of the projections from our friends over at Top Tier Projections, and of course, we'll be giving away rare tier cards. So make sure you're ready for Live Before Lock. But back to James Harden. The Clippers are in this weird spot right now. We know they're not going to tank. They are going to be trying to win basketball games because they've traded every single first-round pick they have for the next 75 years to the OKC Thunder for that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander trade. They also moved off of Paul George, who is now a part of the Philadelphia 76ers. So this Clippers roster has to try to win and is kind of in shambles. Oh, and BT Dubs, by the way, the best player on the Clippers right now, Kawhi Leonard, we know he's probably not going to play all those games. So we might get an older YMCA version of Houston Rockets James Harden when the ball is in his hands and he is creating all of the offense. And even when Kawhi is playing, Harden is still going to be the facilitator for this offense. I know we talked about Kevin Porter Jr. before.
We're the Porters. We share the crowd of up and down performers, throwing things and buzzer beater corners. And one of us is playing for the Warriors. We're juniors and we're the Porters.
But Kevin Porter Jr. is not going to be the guy running the offense. It's going to be James Harden. And I think people are somewhat off of Harden. He's got a cap of 39, but you can see his price point is right there at $43. And for a cap of 39, I mean, we are going to see Harden surpass 50, 55 fantasy points a handful of times this season. And I do think there's an opportunity to capitalize on that early in the season before people realize that A, the Clippers aren't going to be very good, and B, James Harden is going to be doing the majority of the offense. Now, the cap started to get a little bit tight as we've used 40 from IQ, 39 from James Harden. That puts us at 79 with 120 left. That means we have 41 for two positions total. Bing bong, it's the big man from the New York Knicks, and it's not Isaiah Hartenstein because that guy got moved to the Oklahoma City Thunder. It's Mitchell Robinson. Now, Mitchell Robinson's got a little ADM, and I don't mean that on the basketball court. I mean that in injury form. Mitchell Robinson will always have these huge performances followed by some shin injury that sidelines him for 4 months. So that is an issue when looking at Mitchell Robinson. However, he's only got a cap of 16 and he's only $23 right now. And I know it's early because we're still a month plus away from basketball, but you can bookmark this right now. The first time projections are run for the first or second game week of Sorare NBA Year 3, Mitchell Robinson is going to be towards the top of the list. And I think he gets there just from rebounding and blocks and steals alone. Sure, if he gets any putbacks, that's good too. We know the New York Knicks offense is going to run through Jalen Brunson and then Julius Randle and Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby and Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo, Miles McBride. They've got all of these guys, right? Mitchell Robinson doesn't need shots to get there though, but he does need to be on the court because they don't have any bigs left on this roster. So for a guy that has a cap of 16 and is only $23, we know as long as he stays healthy, he's going to be out there for at least 24, 28 minutes a game, and it's not going to take much to smash that 16 cap. Now we're left with one player, and it's going to the Golden State Warriors, the pod god, Brandon Podziemski, who we've talked about maybe too much this offseason. But Podziemski's cap right now is only 23, and we know probably by week 2 or week 3 of the NBA season that his cap is probably going to be living in that 33 to 36 range. We've heard so much noise about him this offseason about how the Warriors want him taking 8 to 10 three-pointers a game, where last season he was only taking 3 three-pointers a game and shooting north of 36% from 3. So if he was able to maintain some of that shooting production that he did on 3 attempts up to 8 attempts, we might see smash performances from Podziemski. He's no longer going to be sharing or fighting minutes away from Klay Thompson. Yes, the Warriors added guys like Buddy Hield and DeAnthony Melton, Kyle Anderson, but Podziemski is going to be on the court whether or not the Warriors are competitive because he's one of their young guns. I say he's only $64. That's probably priced right, but I do think we get 3 to 5 game weeks of Podziemski before his cap corrects. So there you have it. There's our champion lineup. We have Anthony Davis coming in at $151 as our MVP. We've got Emmanuel Quickly at $32 with a cap of 40. We have James Harden with a cap of 39 costing $43. We have Mitchell Robinson with a cap of 16 costing us $24. And we have Brandon Podziemski with a cap of 23 costing us $64. That means our cap is at 118. We cleared the 120 mark and our budget was $350, and that that came in at a crisp 314 USD. I feel like we saved some money there. Not too bad. Now, that's not the lineup you need to create. This is just an example of what we can do with the budget and the cap structure. I think there's definitely an argument to move off of someone like Emmanuel quickly and live in that lower 30 range, which means maybe you can come up with from Podziemski, come up from Harden. There's lots of different ways to attack this, but I like the formula we came up with today. Now, it gets a little bit more challenging in the contender side of things, but we're going to be keeping two of the names that we've already done. But just a refresher, we have a budget of $250. We have a cap of 120, but we no longer have that MVP freebie space, so we got to be a little bit tighter with the cap. So we're going to bring back Brandon Podziemski because I just like saying pot god, which means that's a cap of 23 and we've spent $64. And we're also going to bring back the New York Knicks big boy, Mitchell Robinson, with the cap of 16 at $24. Now I'm going to get our other low cap play out of the way right now so that we can talk about some of the more fun names. And real quick on the contender format, there's a lot of different ways to attack this. I know people that like to try to jam in as many of those stars as they can, not MVP, but those next level. And they do that by finding some guys with some very, very low caps, or you can go full balance and live in that 16 to 24 range. But to make this a little bit spicier, we're heading to the Beantown boys, the Boston Celtics, and it's big man Xavier Tillman. Now, you could probably also make a case for Luke Cornett as well, but I'm going to go with Xavier Tillman, who's got a cap of 10 and costs $8.46. Now, of course, there is some risk in this, but I am kind of intrigued by what the Celtics are going to do with their big man, right? Because Kristaps Porzingis, we know, is out until January the earliest. We know Al Horford is old enough that a fake Twitter account, League and Hoops, tweeted out that Al Horford had retired. He hadn't retired, but just knowing that that could be a joke means we're not too far away. So we already have the information that Al Horford didn't play back-to-backs last season. I can't imagine all of a sudden, a year older, after a deep championship run, that now he's going to play back-to-backs, which means one of these three big men are going to crush their cap. It could be Xavier Tillman, the Portuguese sensation Neemias Queta, or it could be Sneeps' best friend, Luke Cornett. But I'm going to go with the X-Man, Xavier Tillman. We've seen him be a fantasy producer when he would fill in for minutes for the Memphis Grizzlies before he was moved to Boston. We've seen him show up occasionally for the Celtics, but with a cap of 10 and only costing us $8, this is less than $10. He's cheaper than his cap. For being cheaper than his cap, it allows us to do a little bit more. It'll make our lineup a little bit more exciting when I give you the next two names. I'm a little nervous that by the time this video comes out, he is going to get swept off the market because you can see it is Trae Young. Trae Young, who's currently going for $107, but you can see right here, if this one gets scooped up, it jumps up to $142. Not financial advice, of course.
None of this is financial advice. Do what you love what you do. Something like that, right?
But we are being blessed by the cap gods with Trae Young's performance down the end of the stretch where he's just coming back from injury. His minutes were being wildly limited, so we get a Trae Young cap at 33, and if we're being honest, Trae's cap should probably be around 44 to 46. So yes, it's by far the most expensive card that we're buying. The only one more expensive so far was our MVP and Anthony Davis, but it's because of that cap of 33. And then last but not least, a little spicy Pete, Pascal Siakam of the Indiana Pacers. As we look at Siakam's recent performance, which you can see on the back of all of these cards here, we see him living really in the 30s, a couple of big performances against the Knicks with a 44, with a 48 against the Celtics. But remember, this is all playoff basketball. And in the regular season, the Indiana Pacers are a high-flying offense. They're not playing the same team night in and night out. So it's almost like going against a knuckleball pitcher in baseball. You're used to seeing someone throw 105 miles an hour, and then all of a sudden, you got to hit this 45-mile-an-hour pitch. And that is what it's like taking on this Indiana Pacers offense in the regular season. And shout out, we got a baseball reference in here. Are you kidding me? But Pascal Siakam has a cap of 36. He should have no problem out kicking that. And his cost is only $34. So here you have our roster right now. And I got to tell you, I think this is a solid team. We started with the Pod God with a cap of 23 costing us $64. Then we moved back to Mitchell Robinson with a cap of 16 costing us $24. Then Xavier Tillman with a cap of 10 only costing us $8. And then then the big spenders of Trae Young with a cap of 33 costing us $108, and then Pascal Siakam with a cap of 36 costing us $34, which brings us in again at a cap of 118 costing us $238 total, saving us $12. And there you have it. We just so rare balled on a budget. Now it's your turn. Let me know in the chat, who are the players you're targeting as you start to bulk up your collection and get your rosters ready for the early game weeks of So Rare NBA Year 3. And if you've made it this far without subscribing, I feel a little bit offended, but do me a favor, subscribe, hit the notification bell, tell your parents about the show, I guess, maybe get them involved. We're early. And don't forget to tune into the NBA Bits starting next week, the 23rd of September, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern, breaking down all the things going on in the basketball world as we get hyped for another year in So Rare NBA. Thanks for watching.